this isn't gonna be a scream and yell. This is people's ideas from both boards, plus the supervisors and visitors. Okay, let's start out with visitors' comments.
If you're not a board member, this would be your best time to talk, so.
Okay, I'll just start. I have nothing to say until we know what's
Now,
going
this,
on.
like I said, this is just a
Yeah.
workshop to get the ideas
Right.
from both authorities, the community, plus the supervisor.
Can I ask you to have people identify themselves before they speak, because it's hard to tell who's who, because of the mask.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Julie Kunamoto.
Anybody else in the visitors' comments?
Nancy, Howie, Richard?
Richard?
Okay.
Somebody? Good, you
All
all
right.
right?
Yeah, Nancy Roseland. My only reason for having an interest in this is I want to make, the township a little more organized, a little more fine-tuned, a little more efficient. That's my thoughts about this, the merger, so.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're done with the visitors.
Bob's here.
Okay, Bob, we're in the visitors' comments.
Do you have a visitor's comment?
Do you have a secretary?
We don't. She's not feeling well, so she went home.
Okay, then no. I'll say my comments to the regular meeting.
Okay.
In the township meeting.
Well, how are you going to?
This is strictly talking about merging pros and cons.
That's how it is.
Okay.
Is this being recorded?
It is.
Yes.
I have the recorder here.
Jim, you gotta put that seat back. It'll be 6 feet. And,
Somebody must have already moved on.
Jim, anything visitors' comments?
Not us right now.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the discussion of the merger.
You want me to kind of explain what we handed out to them?
Go ahead, yeah.
What we handed out to you in your packet should have been a list of notes that would have been like Rick's ideas on the merger. It's like a 2-page. And then there's this larger packet, which is our current organization chart, and then the proposed organization chart. This is stuff that I worked on. Again, this is just things I worked on and a starting point for us. So if you don't agree with something, speak up about it, talk about it. But this is the top one that should have been in there is the way it stands right now. The next one is the way I can see it streamlined. Some of the charting and pros and cons that come with are also things that I created and that come right out of either budgets or audits of both authority as of 2019, because that was our last complete year of information. So if any of those numbers you say, oh, well, it might have been a little bit more, a little bit less, that's why we used 2019. Some of them you might even see 2018. So with that, that's explaining what you have. And I think our goal here when we're talking about this is to see if we can come up with a better way of what we're doing. If you look in Rick's notes, you can see on the second page the list of everybody that's worked here in the last 10 years.
And there might be a few I missed. That's without even Patrick
Right.
and Justin on there, and Corey.
I mean, I think we see a lot of turnover. We want to see a better way to do things that might create less turnover. In our original organization chart, there's a lot of these people aren't full-time positions, okay? So if you look at the proposed one, there's less positions, all that except for a manager. Less positions, but my idea is that they be full-time positions with benefits so that maybe you don't have the turnover. You can get a crew of guys working together, guys, girls, don't take it the wrong way, working together so that we don't have this problem that we know we've had for 10 years. And that's my starting point. So I'll let somebody else speak now.
That's good. You have something?
second page of Rick's notes. Anybody,
That's
Jonathan,
good,
if
I
you wanna
can-
grab a seat, you gotta sit in one of these seats.
I can walk
Yeah. Okay, got it, alright.
Well, I see on this opposed one here that you've got the secretary, you're gonna have one secretary?
That's
both
my
sides.
thoughts, and I've discussed that a couple times at township meetings. If you have one full-time secretary, I think that Rick has it listed in his notes. We'd like to see the secretary here where they're available to the public, that they're available 8 hours a day. They're available to the employees, so they can call when they have a problem, when one calls, or if it's a, you know, there are things you need secretaries for throughout the day, right, Patrick?
Yes, but I know our secretary's part-time, she's retired, she doesn't wanna be full-time.
Right.
Somebody's gonna have to call and tell her she's getting laid off.
Well, again, we're proposing that, but that might be,
This is just a work.
you know.
I mean, I know, but that's the, I guess to bring up a con, you're gonna have layoffs.
That's what we're here to, the pros and cons about it.
Right. Right, and we understand that particular scenario.
What are the problems? You said, to work out some of the problems. Let the audience know what the problems you have with the water and the sewage.
The problems, we just talked about are mainly is the turnover, for one. That's the biggest problem we have. Does anybody disagree with that?
I think the turnover as far as the water authority goes has nothing to do with payroll and benefits and being full-time. They were personal vendettas from years past that came up. They were nothing to do with an issue with an organizational chart or anything like that.
Okay.
We've held I've been there for 4 years, full-time. I'm happy. My maintenance guy's been there nearly a year now, full-time. He's content. And we're advertising for a part-time position. So I don't think there's big issues as far as the water authority has to do with employees.
Okay.
I could talk for hours about what happened a year ago, but I'd rather not revisit that because that's irrelevant.
And it's not just that, if you look at that list, Patrick, you're the longest standing employee in 10 years, okay? So it is a problem that precedes you, it's not, and it can continue to happen. You wouldn't like to have more guys that are able to do the work with you?
Absolutely, but neither of us are going anywhere. Justin or myself.
Okay. How many guys you got on the other side of the fence?
I guess that's the sewer authority issue.
And it was the water authority's issue just a couple of years ago.
Right.
And prior to that, you can see that roll go over and over and over.
Right.
That's my issue.
It's not my business to tell them how to run their shop, but they haven't had a full-time operator. They haven't offered full-time to anybody there. That's their prerogative, that's up to them. And by all means, they know this, I discussed it last night. If they need help, we are there. We are more than willing to help. We do help each other here and there. I discussed with Rich before, it just becomes a matter of what becomes billable time. So if they need me, Justin, I know my wage is higher, so they probably wouldn't prioritize me, but if they need Justin or our part-time guy for an hour, 2 hours, we can figure something out. And, okay, do they clock out of water and clock in on sewer, or do we send a bill? I just don't think
Who makes that decision though?
the boards would have to come together and talk about that.
And right now, if you're doing it without a board decision, and you're doing it without a decision from management.
It's only 15 minutes. We help the township.
No, I understand, but what I'm trying to tell you is, that is part of the problem that I see.
Right. All it takes is a discussion. If they
We
need,
did discuss that. We've
Yeah.
discussed working along with we've tried since last year.
if they need us, we're there. Now, if we need to talk logistics as far as who fronts the bill, we can do that. We haven't had an opportunity to do that. If they're interested in us helping while they're understaffed, we can talk that out. We can figure that out.
So it sounds like you're already working together, why don't you start something like this?
Because I don't think it's totally necessary to turn both upside down. If they're not broke, don't fix them. Why do we need to turn everything upside down and start over?
I don't think it's starting over, I think it's building off of what you're already saying you're doing. That's my own take on it. Other supervisors?
Yeah, like I said, I'm here
Yeah,
to
me too.
listen to all the opinions, the good and the bad. But you looking for, okay, your maintenance Justin,
Mhm.
full-time
He is full-time right now.
with benefits?
He is full-time with benefits
Full
right now.
benefits.
Yes.
Okay, then, when you had the part-timers, I'm looking at somebody that's part-time that would like a full-time job and make some more money. Not saying you're gonna make money like the city of DuBois operators or maintenance, but somebody where, like I said, there's 16 that left the water and there's 14 left the sewage in less than 10 years. Is it an incentive, okay, I got a good job working down the valley now, I'm making decent, I got benefits, I plan on sticking around. Same thing in the past when I sat on the water board, where we trained Eric Johnson. Never knew nothing about the water, put him to school, did, and the thing about it, we wanted, like you got your credentials, we wanna keep you there. Not bring somebody in for 2 years and all of a sudden you put $5,000 invested in training, he jumps ship.
Right.
We want the people to stay here and work together.
And right now, the water authority is treating me fairly enough that I am content staying there until I retire. Absolutely.
That's good, glad to hear it.
I think a lot of why people leave, and it's never going to change in Jay
Like I said, there's,
Township.
just like you mentioned a couple minutes ago, vendettas. We
Yeah,
gotta
I
jump over
understand that.
that, what happened 20
I
years ago
understand
or
that.
5 years ago.
But the politics in Jay Township never quit. And I'm not gonna lie, it stresses me the heck out, but I enjoy this community, I enjoy working here. That's why I haven't given up. These people down here drive me nuts. It's never gonna stop. It never is. This merger is never gonna stop the politics. That's why a lot of people come in, get trained, and get the heck out of here.
So they're wasting consumers' money, really. You train them and then they leave.
But those are those people. Everybody's different. I am content staying here and putting up with this. Not everybody's that way. So maybe that's why, I mean, the last operator before me was from DuBois. He got trained, got his license, got a job close to home in DuBois with a private company. I'm gonna say, and he had been offered the benefits and everything, but he still chose to leave. And I'm gonna say it's probably because of the politics. This merger's not gonna stop the politics.
The best thing that happened, Rick, was the contract. That was the previous board's fault for not getting a contract for the operators. That's not the water authority or sewer authority's fault. The contract should have been written, and as far as the people and all these people that jumped off the ship, you know as well as I do why. Don't, just, you can't ride herd on people that are doing their job.
I
Let
think,
them do their job. Let the boards handle who they're supposed to handle.
I think what the proposed joint board is going to offer the employees as far as wage, benefits, etc., is what at least the water authority is already offering. So I just don't see what would change.
In this proposed structure, having one full-time secretary available because you're already both paying out what would be the equivalent of a full-time secretary,
Right.
right? And the manager, okay?
So you're saving money.
No,
Yeah, you don't have to pay that person benefits. You're saving money.
but you're hiring a manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So
he's
that's
talking,
not
he's
the
talking
same
about the
cost.
part-time secretary
Oh,
that's
okay.
saving
I'm
money.
talking about the secretary.
Yeah, they are, but even in the secretary column, I don't know how many there have been, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least,
Well,
okay?
Jeremy, you
Because
sit on-
Jamie got
you
the
sit on
motion.
the boards, and Jamie went from water to sewage, water to sewage. How many
Right.
years did that go on?
Right, and that was the most consistent person we've had there since I sat on the
And
board
then
here.
she just picked up and left and came over here.
Because she got a promotion.
She
That's,
got a full-time job with benefits.
I understand that.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
I'm not stupid. I
Had that-
understand.
Had that job that you had there had it be a full-time with benefits, then maybe she wouldn't have considered making that change. I can't speak for her, but I'm saying, that's why she left the job she had.
And I'm
even though-
I'm happy for her. I'm
Right.
glad.
Right, but again, that's her.
But
I
again,
went to the sewage meeting last night and I asked the sewage board on their input on this merger, and they said no comment. So now that you have the two boards here, are they agreeable on this merger?
Well, that's
what we're trying
that's
to.
why I'm glad
I mean-
10 of yous are here, so we can have, each board member can speak.
They are not, except for the people that are on the boards that are involved with the rest of the politics, they'll stick together. The rest of the
Wait,
boards
wait,
will
wait,
be
Joe.
separate.
You missed the visitors' comments, you were late. You moved on.
I just have to put my 2 cents
No.
in
And
too,
we're
so
asked
listen.
for it when we want,
How
but
about some
don't
of the,
interrupt.
let's hear something from some of the board members other than myself and Patrick. How about that? Can we do that?
Ricky,
I will
What's
say,
that?
Who's gonna be the
We
manager?
don't,
That would be determined by the
the
board.
board would do the
And
hiring.
how do we know that you guys aren't doing this so you can be the manager and get all your buddies' jobs again?
That's
Well,
what
you have to
happened.
Put his name in for it, right?
Yeah, the board's gonna hire the manager for one. I have a job for two.
This is why the politics will never end, and I'm
Right.
sorry to
I
interrupt.
mean,
Because some people cannot
I,
stay out of business, and other people are talking about things that concern them. We're the board.
I'm gonna leave with this
The
teacher.
truth does not hurt.
Okay, now listen,
That's
Okay.
so sweet, you're
One
one-sided.
okay,
I'm done.
one thing.
he said we're not getting, Franny's
I've been
board
on the
member,
boards
go
for
ahead.
11, 12 years on different boards. And the water and storage maybe 10 years ago was not too good a shape. Jeremy sat on them, I sat on them, the
I
storage,
sat on 'em.
there wasn't a lot of money there to play with. Each side was getting out of trouble, you understand what I mean, and trying to make it go. There was no lot of money to pay. Now I see that both sides are collecting a little bit, and the water company's already started, like he has said, to pay these people full-time, and they've never had, as far as 2 full-time workers and a part-time worker too, and paying benefits. I think that's pretty good for them. And I see the storage is collecting some money now, and I think they can start doing it too here, and I think they will as soon as they get their things together.
right.
So
We-
I think you're gonna see a big change. I think you're gonna see a big change.
We're in the
And
process
that's the proposed area here, if it was one, you'd still have your licensed operators, which you need to get at sewage, and I know you've tried for years and you're still working.
Well, we're in
towards
the
it.
process of that.
Right. But then you also have your maintenance and labor people, and if you look, it's not one for each, it goes back up to the management, and so it's maintenance and labor people to be used just the same as your operators. You know yourself, you have to do labor as an operator in a system this small. But you have, instead of you having 2.5 people and them having 1.5, you have 4 people, okay? Rick even proposed the idea when we were talking, what if you had one guy that could get both licenses? You wanna go get your sewage license. That-
You got one that's gone, you need 2 more.
I understand that, that's my, he brought that up.
I would do it to preserve my job, but in an 8-hour day, I am barely keeping up with the system that I have.
Right.
So, I couldn't see doing both, I really couldn't.
And that was an idea thrown out by Rick, and I said, I really think it would work better if you had somebody that could focus on each place. But at the same time, if you guys have something major going on, you have 4 dedicated employees that know what they're doing to go deal with it. And if you have something going on in the plant, you'd still have 3 guys that you could trust to get out there and do it.
But we can still do
Yeah.
that.
You can.
Well, you can if you have enough people, but you.
Yeah, if we're in a pinch and we need extra help, and both boards are willing to share labor, we can do that right now the way we are.
I think that's possible.
You're just saying about, getting everything done in the plant. If you're considered the operator for the plant or both plants, that's what you do. You don't have to run and get a fire hydrant, you don't have to run and buy, that's why you have 3 people under you to do it. The operator is considered to be in those plants. Maybe you might have to come out.
And when I was plant operator, distribution operator, with an assistant operator / maintenance person and a part-timer under me, I was able to be in the plant most of the time
Okay, let me
doing
just
that.
ask,
So
Richie, on the
that's-
sewer authority side, okay, how often's Holly come in?
Either every week or every other week.
Every week. So actually, the plant's running by itself, right?
Well,
She
Corey-
comes up and does the updates with.
She double checks Corey
Yeah, okay,
and does the recording.
okay.
Can I ask a question on that? Because I don't know Rich. Like, that operator doesn't have to be there on a daily basis?
No, no,
So-
she hasn't been, she was there before I even got on the board, and it's
Okay.
always been that way.
So the state doesn't mandate it?
No, she's contracted 16 hours a month, or 20
Okay.
hours a month.
They just can't make any process control decisions without her approval.
Correct.
I see.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, when and John Forster ran. They were licensed, right? Punk?
Correct.
And they only worked part-time doing it, right? Punk didn't do it 8 hours a day, did you?
I don't know.
God,
That was
you were
before
there.
my time.
I think he always worked.
No, they had a guy from
I
St.
don't know how many hours he worked there a day, but he always had that.
Doug was just part-time then.
So, how about when you were there?
They had a guy from St. Mary's that did the water test.
So you, okay, you more or less ran the plant, right?
He was from St. Mary's sewage.
Oh,
They actually had 3 people, Rick.
Enlighten us.
Back then, they had 3.
An operator was there all the time?
Pretty much, it worked out to be there all the time because they did their own labs and did their own testing and everything, so, yeah, they were there, I'm not gonna tell you 8 hours a day, but John Forster was probably there 8 hours a day, Punk was probably there about 5. And then you had another part-time guy who worked there, which was, Dave Brazzi, if you remember.
oh, okay.
As
So
I
there's
recall-
another one to the list.
as I recall-
No, there's ones I know I'm missing.
That might have been
Punk-
prior to the
Punk
2010.
worked for Chike the whole time he worked at the sewer.
Yeah, that's what I said, I know he always had
He was
another.
part-time, and I think John Forrester worked for the auto body shop in Du Bois. Well,
Right.
you could
Yeah,
tell.
they didn't work full-time there, I know that.
They weren't full, they weren't neither
I think
one
we're
of
getting
them.
off the target here. Can we hear
Yeah.
some other board
Like,
members,
comment.
I mean, that either oppose it or you think it's a good idea or why? I mean, we're
Yeah,
not
that's-
really
that's
hearing.
Well, I oppose it if you want my opinion.
Okay, what's your opinion on it? Why do you oppose it?
Why do I oppose it?
Yes,
Because
that's
I
what we're
don't
here to
think-
talk about.
Well, listen, you're talking about putting a full-time secretary on, so now you're gonna add benefits.
Yes.
You're talking about putting a full-time manager on, so now we're gonna pay another employee and we're gonna pay more in benefits.
Right.
Then you're gonna have
It's not cost
operators.
effective, by no means. The people in this valley need to start saving money, and one of the ways to do that is to be more efficient.
That's,
You know, listen, and Rick will tell you, the board member will tell you, you know, I applied for that grant, as far as I know, we got it, we'll know Tuesday, but I'm not saying bad about any of the board members. But when there's money available, we need to go out. When there's work that can be done in-house, we need to do it, and that's what we're doing. We are doing that now. So,
right.
and we also got a few months back, maybe 6 months ago, that any money that we can do in-house to save money, which we have done, rebuild pumps, whatever, at the end of the year, we're gonna take that money that we would have paid out to a pump rebuilder, and we're gonna put that on the principal of our loans at the end of every year, and pay down our debt, which, you know, and I'll give you a good example. That pump to be rebuilt was $3,970. It cost us $500. Okay, so there's $3,400 that the people did not have to put out that would have been gone. And there's many other things, you know, so
Well, even
as
that,
far as I'm concerned, that answer is, let the boards work together, and it can be very cost effective. I don't think supervisors should have control of riding herd on the boards, I just don't feel it's right. I just feel that everything can run smooth if the politics stay out of it. Let the boards do their job. And I know they went through secretaries, and I know they went through employees, but there's more reasons to that. People just don't want to admit why that is.
That's true.
I mean, currently you don't have a secretary and you only have one employee at the sewage, so it's just right there in front of your face.
No,
I'm sorry, what? I don't know, I didn't take your secretary, we took your second to last secretary.
Secretary, for full-time job, now we don't have a secretary.
Right,
As far as Jamie is concerned, she was excellent.
right, but nobody was paying her benefits, that's why she left.
There's always problems with local people that are not part-time, there's no question about it.
And we've had that problem with overtime. We've had that problem for years.
So,
We've had that problem because it's part-time.
we're hoping with the
And
floor.
we're,
Like
we're
I
looking
mentioned
to change
earlier.
that board.
I told
He's going to school, he's
She said she
going, that way to alleviate.
So, that's,
Cory Anderson.
that's,
Yeah.
So, Steve, that's what you were saying, I added up the 2019 payroll is $200,000, okay? For the two authorities combined. And then if you were to look at the system I put out, and I figured it out at current rates of what people are being paid, and actually paying the laborers a little more than what our laborers are making, because they're not getting the full-time rate, a lot of them, it's $219,000. That's including the full-time secretary and manager. Now, I know insurance isn't included in it, okay? However you wanna look at insurance, I estimated at $30,000 to $60,000 a year, okay? That based on if you're gonna use the system the water has now, where you pay for the employee and only 50% of the spouse, that based on that kind of an estimate. That's only an estimate, not knowing who the employees would be. Single, couple, family, yada, yada. And the way I figured they could make up the difference is exactly what you're saying. With a full-time crew of people, you don't have to farm out to Oral Management, to Gambino's, to Eads Group. I know you guys pay the Eads Group to come in as actual manpower from time to time, because you don't have the manpower. You know, I mean, that's how, if you look into the budgets and the audits, you'll see that there's big chunks of money, like you're saying, that have always gone to paying somebody to do something that you don't have the manpower to do.
But we haven't had that since, and I'm not putting a feather in my hat, I'm just
Right.
saying, we haven't had that since I've come on the
Right,
table.
and it'd be the same reason that this could work as to afford these positions.
Well,
I just don't.
Okay.
listen, you know, we've got $95,000 in the good. That's gonna cover maybe half, not even half of a full-time employee's wages, so now we're back in the hole. And I don't think the customers of this community deserve to be in that hole.
Yeah.
To pay, what's the manager gonna do? Sit over here in his hiney and wait for somebody to say, oh geez, I need somebody to come over here and decide whether I need to do this? And who are you gonna hire for a manager that has the knowledge of water and sewage? What are you gonna have to pay that individual?
At least a little
That's a
bit.
$60,000 or $70,000 position.
Yeah, it really depends on what's available and what kind of a person puts it in. You know, I mean, that's,
Not good. What did,
what was that,
did you
Danny?
put a salary circle where the manager's equipment would be?
You can't afford it.
Yeah, we can't afford this.
I think you're better off,
That building down up in Burnell.
I'd like the storage
Wait, we
itself.
got like 4 people talking at one time. Jenny, go ahead, Jenny.
We're getting in a better financial position. Hopefully we'll be able to pay better benefits so we can obtain good employees. Until now, we haven't had a choice, you know.
No, I get that part.
So we're competing
Doesn't,
with St. Mary's and so.
like you're saying, better wages and benefits brings you better.
Expertise, you know, we've been trying to find an author there, but the cheapest way to go right now is one that's under contract.
Right.
That's saving us money, but ultimately, we encourage people who come to work with us to apply to become an operator, and we compensate them, but we haven't been able
To get anybody to pass it,
to get anybody.
get their license, yes, I'm aware of it.
Yeah, right now, there's no testing available until after December.
And I think,
Corey starts at the beginning of
Rich,
December.
Franny's been, I wanted to hear Denny, now we're gonna listen to Franny.
and I do think, just like the storage needs, a licensed operator. And instead of spending that money on a manager, they're gonna need that money for an operator, to give them good money, cause they're not gonna come here for nothing.
I agree with you, Franny.
Yeah, I just
Who
can't
makes
see
the
it.
day, I just have the question of, who makes the day-to-day decisions at each authority? I'll ask you,
Each
who
authority.
makes your day-to-day decisions at the sewage authority?
What Corey's gonna do
You can
tomorrow,
ask me.
next week, what's on
What,
next
what
list?
happens if something out of the ordinary in Corey's day right now happens? Who does he call?
Usually you either call me or Keith,
Okay, you, one of you.
and Keith's been going over every day,
And
so he
is it
knows.
your position to answer him all by yourself and make a decision, Keith?
No, we made that clear at a board meeting, that he has to, if there's a decision that needs to be made, he has to contact the board or the secretary to get a hold of the board members if there's a situation that arises.
Right, even in that case, you have to go to a public meeting in order to make that decision. That's what a manager is for, the
A
day-to-day
manager-
business.
A manager is still under the
You
board.
can't
and has to
justify that
consult the board.
cost.
Yes,
I don't believe that.
the manager still answers to the board if you look at the chart.
Correct, they would
The
have.
manager would also attend, I think there's some The manager would even attend the board meetings, to answer questions of
You know who they
it would
are.
allow the board to do board work instead of, I know what it was like when I was a chairman, you know what it was like when I was a
That's,
chairman.
but that's essentially what
Who
I'm
makes your
doing,
day-to-day calls when you can't?
me as a certified
You.
operator.
Okay.
And if I'm beyond my spending threshold, I go to the board.
Over the phone or something,
No, if it's,
through a meeting.
if I have an emergency
Right.
that I'm
Call
gonna
my
spend over
number.
$500 to fix a water line, I can make the process through control decision under my license to do that.
Okay, so you're making the decisions.
Absolutely. I had a leak, for example, you mentioned Laurel Management, they haven't been here for 2 years, but I had a leak between the plant and the tank, my tank was going like this.
I was there, I remember.
Yes, that was an expensive bill. I was the one certified, authorized to make that call
Mhm.
because it's a water emergency. That's what my license entitles me to do.
Well,
You can't, like you're saying, yeah, you can't call the board together and make that decision. No, you can't, it's an emergency.
you can't.
I had to make that call to have Laurel Management come in, and nobody's gonna question that decision that I made, because it's either you make that call or the tank runs out of water.
Right, and that's just one extreme example
Right.
there. But
But-
there are a lot of other decisions that are made every day without anybody
Right, daily,
managing the situation.
daily operations.
Unless you're calling the board and they're making decisions without the rest of the board.
My daily operations, which is what I'm there to do, that's my
Right,
job.
yes. That's your normal run every day, this is what I do.
Yes.
But when something arises outside of that, or even that, your daily, every day, who knows if you're doing it or not? I'm not accusing you that you're
No.
not, but you know where I'm coming from?
But they keep, they
Who knows
keep,
it?
they
It's
keep
up to
tabs
the
on
We
it.
board.
keep track of them every day. Just this week I was down
Who keeps
there.
track of it?
Just this week I was down there. We go,
No, I'm not
Just
talking
like we went
about
there.
Patrick, but I'm saying, who keeps track of the employees? The board members.
yes, yes they
It's
do.
not the position of the
The
board
board,
to have to do
we do.
something like that.
I go out there, I went out
I
there
know
last
you do,
Friday.
and so did I,
I
and so
keep
do a lot
track.
of other people, but that's not what a board member is for. Do we understand that part?
Oh, I think most certainly a board member is for that.
Okay.
No,
Oh, yes, sir.
You're on the wrong track, Chair.
Well, I wanna touch
Let's
base,
talk about it.
Nancy mentioned shutting
He's
down.
missing the point, he's missing the point.
Nancy mentioned shutting down the building in Burndale, the water office. The only thing you're gonna save there is internet and phone. We have all our fittings in there, okay, in one room.
Insurance.
We, no, you still need that building insured. We have all of our fittings in there, we have
Those-
pumps in there, we have the
Those
truck in
fittings
there.
could be
Right,
moved
no,
to-
you're gonna have the building and you'll have electricity. The
Yeah.
numbers for the office expenses are actually included in the
Right,
budget.
if we,
I mean,
Well,
make
Rick
your
was-
own.
Rick was
budget.
starting to say things can be moved.
Right.
That our water truck is in as good a shape as it is because it's kept in a garage. Rich and the sewer authority's truck isn't as good as shape it is because it's kept in a garage, it's not getting wet, it's kept out of the elements, so,
You wouldn't have to move any of that stuff. You would
no.
still-
Well, Rick was starting to talk about
Yes,
moving
starting to
stuff.
say where we have an empty building, the sportsmen can store all kind of stuff.
Okay,
I mean, that's just part of my thing.
So
but
you're
you're,
gonna heat
but
that
you're
in
already paying heat and
Huh?
electricity
Heat.
there.
We've
Heat's
been
on.
heating.
Heat's on. What are you gonna heat, just to keep your fittings warm?
The pumps have to be kept warm or they burst, they'll freeze.
You drain a system in it.
Yeah, there's, okay, so the township would relinquish their bill for the sportsman's club to have the joint board cover what they're already paying for.
To me, working together, wouldn't get no charge to store stuff in there.
It's gonna cost still electricity.
Well, we pay that now.
Right, so we'll shut the electricity off at 49 Kennedy and start it up on Washington Street and still pay the same bill.
Makes no sense.
Apples to apples.
Well, we're paying.
I think
You're paying
that
that.
maybe you should have a
Okay,
show
so
on
the township
hands.
That's what I'm
supervisors,
trying to say.
If they are
There's-
interested, since you have both boards here, maybe you should have a show of hands if they're interested in this merge or not.
Well, that's the idea of the workshop.
That's
Well,
what
maybe
we
at the
had
end of the meeting, you should have a show of hands.
if the sportsman's club is costing you money, you
Good
don't wanna
idea.
pay it anymore, sell it.
What board members haven't we heard from? Chet,
Penny,
Lisa, Penny?
Penny.
Yeah, that's what we wanna
I
hear.
mean, we wanna hear people's ideas. Rich, I don't know, we've heard from you a little bit.
I'd like to look at this before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is-
these are ideas that we took the time to put down so that you can
We
see.
might have 6 more.
And that's why if you look on the agenda, we wanna set another meeting. This isn't to make a decision tonight, but this was to open a dialogue.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not gonna make a decision, yes or
No, nobody's making a decision tonight, that's not.
This is
without
not,
looking through, you know, this stuff.
okay,
That's
let
my
me-
opinion.
Let me start, Penny, pros and cons.
Definitely, it has to be cons, because there's no, not just all pro. You're not gonna find anybody that's gonna do water and sewer at the same time. I don't care where you go.
As far as the certified operator,
Operator?
right, yeah, and that's why my chart has both, but it was something he, he's
If,
threw out there.
and to let you know,
Yeah,
the
no,
water,
One at a time here.
the sewer was considering and talking about getting a full-time operator. Within the last couple of meetings we've had.
We're in the process.
And
Right.
if any other organization, fire department does it, there's an issue, the board takes care of it. If it's over a certain amount of money, you have to contact
Bill up to the board.
Same thing.
Rick, you want anything?
I said
Do you want to go over, Lisa?
My question is, if this merger is made, are we saving money? How are we saving money, and will that money be given back to the consumers? I mean, will we be able to keep our bills lower, our water, our sewage lower, if we're doing a merger and having a manager? Is it going to cost us less to run a unified system?
No way.
It can't be.
She's talking.
So, if it's not, and it doesn't benefit the people that are using it, why are we doing it? I mean, I would think if we wanted to do this, it would be to help the community save money. We've got an aging population here. We've got people getting older all the time. They don't have a lot of money, all these people on Social Security and Medicare. If we're going to hire another manager, someone will lose a job. We can't have 2 secretaries, can we? No. So we'll have 1 secretary, some person is gonna lose a job. Some of the workers may lose their jobs. I can't see how it is beneficial to combine it at this time if it's not going to be beneficial for the people who use the system.
Where you've been provided with some numbers, I would encourage you to look at them yourselves as board members, that's why we put it out here. They're your numbers that we're using. And again, where like Keith pointed out, ways that a unified system could save money, and don't be short-sighted about that as far as having a working set of employees. Instead of turnover we've spent years on both sides, water and sewage, retraining people. So you need to think about what could happen if you actually had a crew of people. Will it not save you money? Yes, it will. I think it will. Instead of wasting time year after year retraining people. That's my opinion.
There's turnover, Jeremy, everywhere you go.
I know, but these are 4 or 5 jobs that have 24 different people in them
You
over
can't
the last 10
speculate.
years.
You can't make sure that somebody's not gonna come in and.
No, you
get
can
a
never
better
make
offer
sure
somewhere
that
and move
somebody's
on.
not gonna leave, but I think that they'll stay longer for a better position.
We can't speculate on turnover when both water employees have no plans of leaving. If I'm offered double my pay, okay, of course, that's
Okay,
wonderful.
There you go.
But,
You know what I
okay,
mean? It's that
And
way.
nobody would
but-
blame you.
but
That.
can the merged board, okay, so I'm roughly 45,000 a year. With overtime, I guess I was at 51, but I was also working a shift and a half because I was short-staffed for 3 months.
You
So
work by yourself.
I was there by myself, 12 plus hours per day. I had to do what I had to do to keep this system running. So if you look at what my average pay probably is this year, around 45,000 or so. If I am offered something twice as much, that merged board's not gonna be able to match that just as much as the current board wouldn't be able to match that. You're not gonna change anything by merging the boards. Neither of the water employees right now have any plans of leaving because we are content. If the merged board is offering the same thing that I'm offered now, we're still gonna be content. Nothing's changing as far as merging, nothing. If there's issues with turnover, I guess it's an internal issue, because we're happy. We are happy.
Just a moment.
Yes, I'm gonna clarify one thing. Jeremy, he's stating a manager, I'm stating a foreman supervisor.
My title right now is operator foreman.
Yeah, but that's
That's already
what I
my position.
considered, because the foreman supervisor is gonna go in the field and work too if needed. He isn't gonna sit in the
Yeah.
office as the secretary.
That is exactly my job right
That's
now.
what I'm saying, you know, everybody thinks a manager sits behind the computer all day. My thing, a supervisor foreman goes out in the field when he's needed to do it.
That is exactly what I'm doing right
Yeah.
now. That is my job title.
And I'm just, you're thinking a manager stays in the office all day.
No, but the organizational chart right now, I guess, is a general, and this is not our identical flow chart. My title on my flow chart with the Water Authority is operator foreman. That is exactly what I do. I make the list every week of what we plan on getting done, and we prioritize it, what we absolutely have to do, what things don't get done on rainy days.
Do you make that, or does the board make the decision?
I make that. They gave me the ability to do that as foreman. They check it and make sure everything's getting done,
Every
But-
week I go up and we check.
but that is, they've given me the ability to do that. So I go from the meetings, say, the board wants this done. I put that on the list. That I am already operator foreman.
And that's what he's been paid and trained to do. So why would we not respect his ability to do his job? You know, his common sense as to, we need to do this, this, this.
And-
I don't know.
I don't wanna
I
say
would
if
want him
if
to
there's
know.
someone above me making that decision, I'm not gonna listen to them. Obviously I would, but that's already the position that I have.
I think the key thing is,
Yeah,
Oh, good. Go ahead.
oh, I thought you were gonna ask me something.
Yep.
I feel awful for the sewage. I know they need help, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
It's like, we're offering you that help
Yeah, I mean, me and Patrick
because of the
talked,
community, the
Yeah.
whole community. Until you get things under your, get working, it's not a good situation. And there's no way that you could afford what he's proposing, because, that's just another bill, another big bill.
I guess to throw in a quick example, we had a water main break today, and our little machine couldn't get deep enough to fix the line. We're actually budgeting to get a bigger excavator, a trackhoe or something. But regardless, irrelevant, we couldn't get deep enough. Vince wasn't available, so who did we call? Ron Solinsky. You guys are gonna send us a bill for that. It is what it is. There's no problem with that. There's no reason these both boards can't share labor like that. No reason.
That's the idea of working together.
Yep.
We have a already established price.
Right.
We have, a standing.
Yeah, and that's just a discussion.
I'm not saying.
We may need a workshop to do that.
They've told me they've worked. When Vincent was here and when Cody and they needed help, they all worked together over the summer. So it's been ongoing.
I mean, you're just
Yeah, we-
solidifying
we
what
were
I'm
talking
trying to
about
say
that.
here.
Yeah, we can already do that without a merger.
It works if you work together, but call it a foreman, call it a manager, call it whatever you want. I know nobody wants a boss here. That's what it boils down to.
'Cause we're already,
It doesn't work
It
that
has
way.
nothing to do with the boss here, I mean,
It has to do with day-to-day business decisions, things that are being done out of the way they're supposed to be done.
We're doing that
Which is part of
already.
the problem.
Explain
But you're
yourself
right,
right now.
yeah.
Explain
I
yourself.
already did. When you have to call a board member that's making a decision without the rest of the board, or you're calling multiple board members to get an answer,
Patrick just explained to you that he's not calling the board member all the time.
I get that.
That's an extremely rare situation, and if it happens, you call a special meeting, just like the manager would.
He did,
Right.
wait a minute,
Well,
I will say,
again, you've been given some responsibilities that I was unaware of, okay, in your newest title there. So you have that delegated responsibility from the board. That's what
Right.
they would do with the manager.
I'm allowed to spend, I believe, $500 without, and if I have to go beyond that, if it's not a water emergency, you have a special meeting. We haven't had to have a special meeting for something of that, because nothing has occurred.
I want
Can I
to
say
hear,
something?
yes, Chet, do you have anything?
No, I'm gonna stay out.
Okay. Richie's got his hand up, what?
I guess my question is, if this does go through, my personal feeling is everything needs to be kept separate as far as bills and everything.
Your accounts would be kept separate. Your sewer account, water account would be kept separate.
So is the water.
Water account would
pay
have,
half
no,
of the
my-
manager's salary?
in my own thoughts, water, account pays for the water operator.
Yes.
Sewer account pays for the sewer operator. You split up the rest, okay? Because you're all, it's everybody's laborers, everybody's secretary, everybody's manager, foreman, whatever you wanna call it. But that's my thoughts. Again, I put this out here not as this is the way it has to be, to get you thinking about it.
No, I'm just asking.
And I would
Because
like,
I don't
if
think
you
that-
wanna know if it's affordable or not, please take the time to add it up, and you come back and tell me exactly why, dollar for dollar, it's not. Because I've added up the payroll, and I know where we're wasting the extra money, like you pointed out, in the past, paying subcontractors. I know that it will be almost a dead push right now. And it will only get better if you have people that are skilled at what they're doing. And you can get some equipment.
So,
And you know.
It'll also only get better if the board of supervisors put people on the board that have something, that can do something to help this process.
Rich mentioned keeping separate accounts. So say Justin is the water's maintenance person, and he has to go help sewer. You have separate accounts. So he's still gonna swipe out at water and swipe in at sewer.
No, there is no, if you look at,
But
you will be paid by the water as the operator, or their operator, and then you're paying 50% of the salary down the middle.
But what if that person is working more than 50% at water?
You're all the same organization, you don't have to think about it
But
that
the
way
accounts
anymore.
are separate.
That's what your supervisor foreman calls the shots.
The accounts are separate. I don't see how you can feasibly do that.
You're paying your 50%, your fair share.
Right, so if he's working so that's under the theory that in a year's time, he spent 50% of his time at sewer and 50% of his time at water. That's not realistic.
He's not spending time in either one because he's working for the authority,
But,
not sewer. or water.
right, but the accounts are separate.
For billing purposes, taking the money in to know what is coming from each and for paying, that's my own idea, and I think that you have to.
So how do you disperse? How do you disperse out of separate accounts?
Look into it and get back to me at my next meeting.
I'm asking a question, how can I look into it?
I'm not, it's not, everybody asked Jeremy a question, Jeremy brought ideas to the table,
Well,
that I want you
Guy-
to think about between
Guy,
now and
Rick,
the next meeting.
both of you, how do you split the accounts?
I wanna say one thing here now. I don't care if you get a manager, and as board members, I think board members ought to be out there seeing and helping whatever they can. But I wanna tell you right now, even on the storage, you get a licensed operator, no board member, no manager is over gonna rule their license to do something. It's their license on the board, not yours, not the manager's. Even if they get one, they might ask Keith, what do you think about this? But you know what? It's coming down on a licensed operator
Absolutely.
to make that decision, period.
I've-
That's why you pay money for a licensed operator.
Freddie makes
They're
a
the
good
one to
point.
make the decisions.
Operating a plant.
Cause if
Freddie-
I say something, you know, hey, I just heard him. And I just got calls because of dirty water. We was talking about it today. Yeah, was it good to drink? Don't ask me. Cause I'm gonna tell you, if it's brown, don't drink it.
Freddie makes a good point.
You cannot overrule a licensed operator.
I have been in situations,
Operate the facility, yes.
That's right.
in my
The whole
4
thing.
years there, I've
But I'm
been in
not saying the work
situations,
being done by the maintenance.
Oh, yes, Rick.
in my 4
He
years
holds a
there,
distribution license, so anything that's done out on the line or anything is his fault.
That's right.
I can give
His
my
fault.
opinion.
So he should be out in the ditch all the time then, right?
no, I'm not in a
He's
ditch
gotta
all the
oversee
time
it.
now. I was today, obviously,
Yeah,
but
see you today when I was.
I've been, Freddie made a good point though. I've been in a situation where my license has been overstepped by a board member. And that's a valid concern. You can't have that.
That's gonna happen with the sewage when they get a guy. They don't override him, cause his license on that wall. What you do hurts him. That's all I
They're
gotta
to
say.
fall back
Can I say
onto the
something?
supervisors.
Patrick, you went to school and studied a lot to be the operator, and
Yeah.
that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Why you want to be in control of managing these employees and who gets overtime and who doesn't is beyond me.
Well, I
Because
don't.
the manager could do that.
Right, I
The
don't,
manager can do that.
the only way I allocate overtime is if we have a dirty water in case I need them
Any overtime
for,
whatsoever has to come from you, does it not?
right now,
Okay.
yes. Because as operator, I have to. If we have a
Yeah.
dirty, I have a hydrant flushing
But the
right now.
manager would be there,
Right,
to oversee those employees a little more
But
than
if-
you, so you can concentrate on what you went to school for.
But
And
if-
it's not babysitting.
If I get called, if the plant calls me for dirty water, and I'm at the plant trying to treat the plant with dirty water, and I need an extra hand, I'm not gonna call the manager and ask for help. If I need to make the process control decision to keep this plant running and I need an extra hand, or if I need to go up into the middle of the woods in Burndale for a chlorine leak, I'm not gonna go myself, and I'm not gonna call the manager. That's the last thing I'm worried about. My priority is to keep that plant running.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect you to call the manager
So
for
as
that.
far as allocating overtime, that's all I do
But
right
if
now.
you called the manager and said, hey, I sent these two guys up on the hill today to make sure this, and done, needs done. Would you make sure sometime today to go up and check on that and make sure they're doing it right?
I do that now,
Yeah, but you have to leave, when you could be focusing on your operational.
but that's part of my operational
It
job.
is, but not all the time. You don't have to babysit those people.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't have to babysit them.
So for something simple, the manager is there to come and say, hey Patrick, I saw those two guys sitting up at Rosie's today and they're supposed to
And
be digging a ditch.
that's currently the board's job.
Well, no, it's not the board's job.
It is.
I'm
So
sorry.
you're gonna pay a
The board-
manager.
You
Yes,
look up the
yes.
definition of board of directors.
The
and that's
board is
right.
in charge of disciplining the employees.
It's not, that's not the definition of the board.
The manager won't be certified on anything.
He doesn't need to be certified,
The manager can't
You know
hire,
more than we do, how do you know all this?
because I've been researching.
the
Oh,
manager, the manager can't hire and fire without the board.
No, nobody said he could.
Well, then you're saying who's babysitting? The manager
Alright,
babysits,
let's-
no, the
let's
Right now,
cross
you're babysitting.
Jimmy got
discussion
something to
here.
say.
Jimmy, what do you got,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
Jimmy never talked.
Guys,
Listen to
what's
George
your
move.
outlook on it?
Listen a minute, Jim has the floor.
Yeah, what's your outlook on this whole?
Well, I'm kinda confused now after listening to all this.
I appreciate the
I
open.
mean, he has some good points, Jeremy has some good points. I think it needs to be researched and ironed out.
It's not gonna happen. It might be 3 or 4 more meetings. You might not have another one till what, first of the year? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this
This is just.
You sound pretty positive that it's gonna happen, Rick.
I do?
Oh, you just said it's only gonna take 3 or 4 more meetings, that's pretty positive.
Yeah, but the meetings might be 6 months apart. It could be 6 months apart too.
Well, they could be,
I mean,
but
we're
still.
not gonna schedule one next week.
Okay.
We want the
Randy
people-
has good
You got
points.
the
You
literature
can't
to look
override
at and
the-
read
the
the numbers.
operator.
Why don't you just ask the board center?
They're the guy that's going to jail.
They can go back.
That's what we went around asking each opinion here. Penny said, Con.
We'd like you to take the time to look at
Yeah.
what we've discussed and what's been talked about and then meet again. That's what we'd like to do.
I think the water, the sewerage, and everybody get together and get the sewerage and operator for that place. That's the only thing that needs to be done, is they need a full-time operator.
Getting somebody trained, and it's tried, they've tried.
We have, but
They've
they've
sent
involved.
people through and they're not passing the test or they lose them.
So let's take Jim's request with a show of hands as of tonight. With the yeas and the nays. Jim asked.
Well, I mean, you're asking that without knowing, without anybody really having time to mill over it.
Okay.
So if you wanna do that, you can.
No, I'm fine with it.
We'll
Yeah.
take a poll now, take a poll at the next meeting, see how things change, see how our opinions change maybe.
That's a good idea.
You already know the outcome, right?
okay, let's,
Well, I think
Can I ask
it's
you
gonna be
a
hard to
question?
send
You
you.
have this paperwork and all this data. What's your bottom line? What do you think you're gonna be able to say to that information that you have right now?
With the information I have right now, we're probably not gonna save anything, but we're not gonna lose anything to start.
Well, if
Okay?
it says no, then you're not gonna gain or lose, then it's what you said.
For now, like I said, as you get people trained, licensed, moving forward with a good core of employees, I think you'll have a lot more to gain. I think you can eliminate a lot more outside costs.
No, I can't see it.
Well, I mean, I've given you some information, it's mostly your
What I'm
information.
saying is what you.
It's hard to
what you
compare.
said so far, I don't think it was.
Right. And it's hard to compare water to sewage on these charts, so please look at the numbers because neither one actually uses the same format, for their budget or their audit. I mean, when you start looking at numbers, then this stuff is all available here, you know, for Jamie too. If somebody wants to come in and see an audit, every board member should have access to their own audits. But if you wanna see the other side's audits, they're on file here.
you'll have one attorney. You'll have, a lot of those services be combined. Same as your postage, your mail.
Your audit is $4,500 a year.
What is our postage bill?
Your postage too, I brought up.
Postage, you guys use a bulk postage because you bill every month, they only bill every quarter, they can't use a bulk postage.
We have a
You could
postage
put all your
machine.
billing together and send out one postcard with both
We have
numbers
a
on it.
postage machine.
You could break your water billing down, then water billing down to a monthly bill, so you're getting more consistent money coming in.
Instead of one person paying
You know,
$150.
if they're already going out in the postcard on the same postcard anyway. you
We'd
could
have to read every month.
You could do
No,
that now.
you could do just like the sewage does now, you get a basic readiness to serve, and in the third month, they pay the difference. It might make some of your customers that have hard time coming up with money, and we know they're there,
Oh, yeah.
easier to pay when that two bills are smaller and the third bill's a little bit bigger. Or if you get,
But they're
have to go
still,
shut somebody off, it's gonna be for a lot less money.
but they're still paying the same amount in a year.
I know that, Patrick, but it's like, if they're on a fixed income, it's a lot easier to pay 30 or 35 than it is to pay
Yeah, they'll pay
120.
23, and then 23 plus usage. The third bill's gonna
Yeah,
triple them.
I mean, you could average it out, I mean, these are things that a board would decide, you know, but.
I guess if I can, this will be the last thing I say. As I said earlier, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The water authority has put a lot of money into their savings this year because we're already saving money. We have 200 and some thousand in the bank, and we have an aging plant. That's probably what that's going to end up going for. But we're very
Save about 100 of that for the project down in Force, if not more, right?
no. We had to pay the engineering fees for that.
That's what I mean, the engineering fees are gonna be 100,000.
Right, you'd have to pay that no matter what.
Right. Out of that account, that was what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you would have to pay that no matter what. It doesn't matter. You rob Peter to pay Paul, I guess. But
Well, if they merge, they take our 95,000.
Yeah. But I guess our bank accounts are quite healthy, and sewer authority's not in bad shape.
Again,
either.
and that came up at some township meetings, both sides are healthy right now, so if you were ever to consider it, that's what you wanna consider. Not when one side's drowning, okay?
But neither-
Nobody wants to put financial burden on one side or the other by saying, please help this drowning side.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say about it. I've had enough.
Yeah, but we're not drowning.
Neither side is, that's what I'm saying.
That's good.
That's when you would wanna consider a merger, not when one side is drowning. Anyhow,
Neither board.
Township meeting,
Jeremy? we wanna get, we're gonna start a township meeting in a few minutes, so.
Chair's getting hard.
Take a break.
A date or possible dates that we can meet again, that's what we're looking at.
Bring it back, your board members, I mean.
You guys
Why don't you
actually
post
send
it
us
on
some
the
dates,
website?
maybe we wanna just, there's a lot of things to go over and consider, and please add your own information to it.
Both boards get dates and whatever.
Like you said, you got
I would say first of the year, but you got
after
the
the
season
time
coming
after
out,
the first of the
Christmas.
year,
Yeah,
holidays,
board
things like
plans
that.
would be to discuss.
Exactly, a couple months, we
Right.
schedule something in January.
Absolutely.
I think it'd be a good idea if both boards met on their own to discuss the sheriff labor too, like I discussed too. I think it would show a lot to the supervisors that we can work together and do exactly what I have discussed, what we've discussed
We're all here to
doing.
better our community, that's the thing.
Right.
And work together, I mean.
But just
Just like the vendettas in the past, we gotta get rid of them.
I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about the future. Give us a chance to show that we can work together. Then mom and dad, the supervisors on top, don't have to intervene and dissolve us. If they're both working right now and we can work together on our own, we can save a lot of lawyer fees without trying to deal with the merger, because that's coming out of your account right now.
Splendid idea.
And that's tax money.
This is a workshop, it's here to get ideas.
Right, but you've
Each board should talk, board members from sewage, board members from water, and we'll decide if it's a good idea to have a meeting. And then, since you don't have a secretary, who should be notified, Rich?
Jamie's coming in outside of her regular
Okay.
hours for them right now, so they.
All right.
We're actually gonna be interviewing here in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
So,
What do you, let me ask our board son. Rick, Penny, Danny? Chet?
Chet's gonna-
What do you think about going to the water authority meeting, theirs is before ours, and sitting down and discussing with that board?
You gonna have a water authority open, or you doing,
I think for this situation, I'd be willing, if we're spread out and can have a discussion. I'm more, me, myself, I'm sure the board. Yeah, the rest of
It has to be advertised, they'll have to advertise, but
if the rest of the water authority board is for it, I have no problem sitting down with the sewer authority and having a conversation about how we can help.
And another thing that we briefly discussed, we do have heat, I mean, it's only, right now it's probably not, we don't turn it on until it gets cold in that sportsman's building. If we need a larger area, I mean, it is fairly fixed up from when those motorcycle people were in there. I'm sure it needs a little dusting out, we have the bathrooms winterized, but we've considered using it as a meeting place because of all this going on this year. Obviously, that little room isn't getting it done. This isn't the safest location. You know, everybody please be careful when you're leaving, you don't trip over anything. But that is an option too, but you'd have to advertise it that way. I know you guys have been having closed meetings and we can only get 8 people in out there, but this isn't the best solution we've come up with yet.
We could have our meeting out here with just the boards, but you'd have to advertise it that way before our next meeting.
I was gonna say that too,
Yes.
When you said if your board goes, you have to advertise it
board.
if you're both there to act on it.
I said that, it would have to be advertised.
I'd like to see, as far as our board goes, I would like to see, and I think beneficial to the water as well, I would like to see both boards discuss it individually, and then set a meeting up and talk about it. That way, we might have ideas, they might have ideas, then we have more information to talk together.
Well, and that puts you into December, so.
Yeah, and we're not looking at redoing this until sometime after the first of the year, so like sitting down as this group again. So, you've got time to work that out.
Yeah, but it's fresh in everybody's mind, so.
Well, there's still, I mean, right now, we're just going off of everybody's out loud, now you have to go home and put it in your mind and put it to paper, that's what I'm asking. Not everybody's gonna do it, I know that.
I would say we have a separate meeting, not on our meeting night, but a separate meeting with just the boards. That way it ain't their meeting, ain't our meeting, it's just to talk about what our issues are.
You okay with that?
Yep.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Fran, pick a date.
yeah, you guys, we're,
Our next meeting.
our next meeting, we're
That's what I mean.
discussing,
I'd like to see both boards go
Yes.
back to their meeting,
Absolutely.
discuss it, you know, you guys might have questions, we might have questions.
yeah.
Break down.
Review it more, and then we both come together. That way, we both have each
Sounds
other's
good.
ideas.
We'll
That makes
come up,
sense.
we'll come up with a date at the next meeting, then you guys discuss it if you can do it. Sounds good. All right.
Okay, we're gonna adjourn this, because